Question number 42, as requested, we are required to draw 3 diagrams. One is a motion diagram, force identification diagram, and free body diagram. Motion diagram you can represent with velocity vectors. Force identification diagram you can represent with a picture and then just name the forces. You don't draw force vectors and the points where forces are applied. Or if it's a long-range force, you just name them, like force of gravity, you just name it. And then free body diagram, that's when you actually draw vectors for forces. So we have an elevator suspended by a single cable. As far as the elevator goes, you have the force of the cable, and then you have the force from the earth that applies force of gravity to it. Those are your 2 forces to identify, and those are the 2 forces to draw. Now, how long those forces will be, that will depend on how our elevator is moving. The description says it has just left the 10th floor and is speeding up as it's descending toward the ground floor. That means it's speeding up downwards, which means that force of gravity. So if I were to draw a free body diagram, I'm just going to represent the elevator as a dot. So that dot experiences a downward force that is greater than the upward force. So force of gravity, I'm going to represent like so. And then force of the cable will be slightly less. How much less, I would be able to tell you if I knew any numerical values for mass and acceleration, but we don't. So that's your force of the cable. You can call it tension, force of tension, force from the cable. For force identifying diagram, we need to do a little more. So let's say this is my elevator. I'll box it up. There's a cable. So I will say that right here. So I will say right there, I have force of cable, tension, and then I will also name force of gravity. Force of gravity is just identified because it exists, but I don't have an exact point where it's applied. With the force of cable, I know exactly, I'm showing exactly where the cable is attached. And then finally, since it's speeding up on the way down, I'm going to start with velocity 1, velocity 2, velocity 3, velocity 4. It's speeding up. And we don't have any finale, so that's all we have.